Hello, this is Ozzie Ostwalt, and welcome to Religion and Life. Today we are in a beautiful setting. We're at the Art of Living Retreat Center outside of Boone, North Carolina. And my guest is Andrew Keaveney. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you.
I appreciate you spending some time with us today.
My pleasure.
The Art of Living Retreat Center. Is this a meditation center, a yoga retreat center, a vacation spot, all of the above? Tell me what goes on here.
I'd probably say all of the above. It's a vacation for the spirit, a vacation for the mind. Mm-hmm. It's a place where the emotions can be nourished. It's a place where people can relax and have a vacation from busy life, but also the busy mind.
Right.
So it's a place where people come to learn practices to feel that peace within, that quiet within, and be able to access that calm.
And the main practices that you teach here, I guess, would be meditation and yoga. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a very holistic approach. Mm-hmm. So for the body, we have a healing arts center, which focuses on Ayurveda. It's an ancient healing science. And then for the mind, for the spirit, we teach meditation, we teach yoga, we teach a very powerful breathing technique that uses the breath to calm down the mind and to come to a state of balance, of centeredness.
Mm-hmm. And all of these techniques that you're teaching here are thousands of years old. They go back to India and Vedic practice. Is that correct? I mean, we're talking about a long, long tradition.
Yeah, some of it is very ancient. The practice of yoga goes back thousands of years. For thousands of years, people have been doing yoga for better health, better stamina, also that calmness, that quality of mind. And then also, meditation, also an ancient practice. So really time-tested, authentic tools to come back to center. And it's not just in theory or concept, but actual practices, very experiential focus.
Right. So here's the question. When I teach about these things in my classroom, the question is always, does this constitute a religion or not? What's your take on this? Are these practices part of a larger Hindu tradition or part of a larger Vedic tradition? And would you consider them religion?
It's interesting, and it depends how you would define religion. Oftentimes we think of religion as a set of beliefs, a belief system, if you will.
Right.
Sometimes you could compare religion and spirituality, religion as like the banana peel, and spirituality as the banana. And
right.
If you look at the banana peel, the rituals, the beliefs, the concepts that we have about, and then the actual experience. So here we really try to focus on that experience of love, of peace, of joy,
right,
and make it something that's all-embracing, so anyone can participate. So we have people from all faiths and backgrounds that come here and participate in the programs.
Right. So by getting away from the idea that religion is a set of beliefs, it opens it up to people of all beliefs or all faiths. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't focus so much on belief and more about experience and practice.
Okay. Now, you mentioned Ayurveda earlier. So there's a spa here, and you use Ayurvedic techniques at the spa. Can you expound a little bit on the theories or the principles behind Ayurveda, please?
Yeah, Ayurveda is an amazing science. So it also goes back to India, to ancient times. And they discovered ways using herbs, using lifestyle, and using nutrition to help keep the body in balance. So many times we do stuff that's not great for us, and we feel it afterwards, but it can throw us out of balance.
Right.
So very natural, simple principles that are also effective to help bring us back to that state of balance and groundedness and feeling vibrant and alive with energy. That's the heart of Ayurveda. It involves, massage, oils, big focus on what foods help to support our optimal state of mind.
Right. So the focus here is on holistic health. Emotional health, physical health, spiritual health. And it seems like there's a kind of integration of techniques that lead to that kind of holistic balance.
Yeah, it's a unique perspective where instead of breaking down, we just look at, say, the health of the bones or the health of the skin. A really holistic approach that integrates mind and body. So going through the body to also nourish the spirit. And by nourishing the spirit, by balancing the emotions, by finding that calm within, we also find that the body settles down, that the body is able to find deep rest and healing naturally occurs.
Right.
So it's a very integrated approach.
And you're here in a beautiful setting. Maybe the camera picks up some of the scenery in the background. There's a real connection to nature in all this. Is that correct? And I would guess that the setting here in the mountains of North Carolina was a purposeful move to try to locate in the natural world and to get the energy from nature as well.
We feel very blessed to be in such a pleasant environment where there's so much natural peace around you and so much beauty around you that it helps to tap in and, you know, connect with that beauty inside as well.
Right. So one of the principal things that goes on here is meditation. We're going to take a walk up the hill here in a few minutes and visit the main meditation hall. It's a beautiful structure. You teach a lot of meditation there, but you also have smaller teaching rooms around the scene, but around the property. But some of the architecture in the main hall, as we will see, actually kind of plays into the overall goals of meditation and creating a calm spirit. And these are ancient principles as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, a lot of the architecture here was inspired by something called Vastu. So it's an ancient architectural science of, you could say, architecture as well as interior design, but how to plan spaces so that it feels more in harmony with the nature around you, but also just helps to find harmony in those spaces.
Right. Well, let's switch focus just a little bit. Let's talk about the organization.
Sure.
The Art of Living Retreat Center is really an international organization, as a foundation, I think, a nonprofit organization for the promotion of education and peace.
Yeah.
I've got your mission statement here. I'd like to read a little bit from it. The Art of Living Center seeks to reawaken human values such as compassion, love, togetherness, joy, and harmony. And the focus is on a kind of one world family and service to the world. So can you talk a little bit about that international organization, what its commitment to service is, and maybe give some examples about how this center and the organization that it's a part of would reach out to the world in the promotion of some of these human values that you talk about.
Sure. So Art of Living, in one way, it's really about inspiring people. Empowering people with tools to, the practices to still the mind, to find that calm and peace within. And then from that space to be in service to other people. So also empowering people with a platform to go out and to volunteer, to connect with people in their society, to contribute. So it's not just an inward practice, but also hand in hand serving society. So
that's important, because I think one of the critiques that sometimes gets leveled at meditation as a practice is that it's just a sort of inward focus, which is good in and of itself. But here you're taking that and then you're turning it around and reaching out to the world.
Exactly.
Right.
So some examples of the service projects that we are involved in and help support. In India, we have over 300 schools that we run for some of the least developed parts of the country, and very rural areas where a lot of the children are first-generation learners, which means their parents, their grandparents never went to school. So we support those schools, those students, thousands of students. Also in prisons around the world, we do free prison programs, so that even while incarcerated, people have the chance to get in touch with themselves and to find a deeper sense of connection with themselves and people around them. The founder, Sri, has a quote that inside every criminal, there's a victim crying for help. So really helping people to heal from within so they can integrate back into society in a more powerful way. Right. So we offer that in the US, we offer that in South America, Europe, Asia, very powerful program. We also offer programs for returning veterans in the U.S., so to help people to, release some of the trauma of war,
right?
So they can also reintegrate with their family and society, and it's a very beautiful program. And these people have contributed so much and have such a motivation to serve, and to help them to reintegrate and to continue that mission back in civilian society. It's very powerful.
That's an interesting program because one of the cornerstones of your foundation is peace.
Yep.
And then to turn your efforts toward helping veterans of war to reintegrate in society. That's I guess a nice way to instill that value of peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're also, the founder, Sri Ravi Shankar, he's also very involved with kind of being an ambassador of peace.
Right.
So recently he was in Colombia, in South America, helping them to, the guerrillas and the militants and the government have been in a decades-long kind of prolonged conflict. So helping both sides to come to the table and meet with each other, and really inspired the FARC to pursue nonviolence,
Right.
and to maintain that. And that's so there's a big focus on peace at every level.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the founder, Sri Ravi Shankar. Or that's close, I think.
That's it.
Okay, all right. Very important teacher, and ambassador for peace. And I see his work kind of in the tradition of Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and you've already mentioned some of his efforts around the world. And he actually comes here a couple of times a year, I think. You mentioned earlier. So when will he be here next?
The next visit to the States will be in December. We'll be having a meditation retreat here, program for personal transformation. Mm-hmm. And then he comes 2-3 times a year.
And he also began a particular technique of meditation or breathing. How did he come to that seems impressive to me, that you're part of a centuries-old tradition, yet you can come up with something new and something new to offer. Can you say something about his technique and how that came into being?
He said it came almost like a poem. It came to him. He had spent a period in silence, and after that period of silence, this technique came, and he really wanted to share it with the world as a way to help people to integrate these values like love, this sense of connection with other people, that peace of mind, to help people to live that. Mm-hmm. So it's using rhythms of the breath, going through the breath and the body to calm the mind. So it's very easy for anyone to do. Sometimes people think meditation is very difficult. Oh, I can't calm my mind. My mind is so busy.
That's me. I have found it very difficult. Yeah. So I just haven't found the right technique, or is that?
So using this technique, everyone breathes. Mm-hmm. So through the breath, being able to release difficult emotions and come to a really calm, centered place of mind, from where we can be dynamic and help other people.
Okay. So the other thing that you teach here a lot is yoga.
Yeah.
How would you differentiate yoga from meditation? Or how would you describe the yoga tradition?
It's very connected. It's part of the same tradition. Yoga, in its essence, historically it has 8 parts. So one part is what we call yoga in the US, which is the physical postures,
right,
the asanas. The other, at the other end of the spectrum, is, in Sanskrit, it's called dhyana, meditation. So they're all connected. It's just, different approaches to coming back to our center, to that state of naturalness and peace, where we're most ourselves, most alive. And so just different ways of getting there. For some people, going through the body is a great support. And also learning how to manage the mind is so essential.
Right.
So we teach from both angles.
And you, a lot of the teaching you do is to groups, obviously. Yes. But if someone in the community, like myself, wanted to come and take meditation classes or yoga classes or go to the spa, is that possible? Is it open to individuals like that?
It is. We have drop-in classes for yoga and meditation every day. And then we also offer every single weekend workshops where people, if they want to learn a practice, they can come home and practice by themselves. They can also take that home with them.
Now, we met earlier in the dining hall, and you mentioned that all the meals are vegetarian. Is that, again, a part of the tradition from Vedic practice or from the yoga practice?
It is much more popular in India, and it does, a lighter diet can also support a calm stable peace of mind. Of course, you can find that wherever you are, but it's just another factor that can contribute to keeping the body really at ease, light, vibrant.
Right. What do you think, if you had to summarize in just a few sentences, what is it that this center can contribute to the world? What's the best thing that this center can give to society and culture?
I would say it's really a place where people can come, they can get in touch with themselves, also feel more connected with other people, and take that feeling and that practice back home. So it's almost like both a vacation but also a training facility for how to recharge and re-energize and go back into the world.
Yeah. Where is Sri Sri now in the world? Do you know?
I don't know.
Come back here? I wonder what he would have to say about some of the current events that are going on. I'm thinking North Korea, even some natural disasters that we've been experiencing, because I think one of the things that your foundation does is to respond to such natural disasters. Are these, even natural disasters, are these examples of human society kind of getting out of harmony in a way? And are the teachings that he advocates directed at creating a new kind of harmony?
He travels often addressing government bodies, civic bodies, people all over the world about peace, but also living in harmony with nature. So environmental stewardship is definitely a part of the mission, learning to live in harmony with our environment. The direct cause of these things, nature has her own ways.
Right.
But there is definitely an emphasis on on our side, from our part, what can we do to support the environment being in harmony and balance.
I want to ask you one more question about Sri Sri, because I found this fascinating. He has kind of dual degrees in Vedic literature, which is the ancient Sanskrit. We would call them scriptures, but writings in the tradition, and physics. How does the science part play into his vision of the world and what he's trying to accomplish here?
It's interesting when you look at modern physics. So often when they talk about, wave theory, it's really looking at the universe as made up of energy. And oftentimes it's coming to the same conclusion, that, everything is changing, that things are relative. And so on his part, I just see a great openness to seeing wisdom in every tradition, in every corner, and acknowledging that and seeing how we can, apply it to human life so that people can live with more openness, but also more wisdom.
Right.
So there's no conflict there.
Now, this center has been here for about 20 years. I think the Art of Living Center moved in here 5 years ago, and you've been with them since the beginning. Some of the local people who are watching this will say, I remember this place. It used to be called Heavenly Mountain.
Heavenly Mountain, right.
And it was a center for transcendental meditation.
Yes.
But that's a different tradition out of this overall Vedic and Indian tradition. Is that correct? Does it have any connection at all, or is that a completely different branch of the tradition?
It's a separate organization, and they teach a meditation practice, which I've heard is very beautiful. I haven't experienced it myself, but it is a separate organization.
Okay. And the physical, the buildings here kind of have gone through several transformations over the years. In fact, I think at one time they kind of fell into disrepair and because they weren't being used. But you all have now come and done a beautiful job of restoring the property.
Yep.
And we hear a little construction behind us. It sounds like some of that restoration is still ongoing.
When we came, there were cracks in the pipes, and the winters here in Boone.
Oh, yeah.
They're cold.
Right.
So all the water froze. So there was this one building with over 80 broken pipes. So when we came, there was a lot of work just fixing buildings. And then you get to the work of, helping people and fixing minds and that kind of thing. But first things first, right?
Right.
So there has been an ongoing effort to just restore the place, make it usable, and make it just a beautiful place where people can come.
Well, I think one of the most beautiful buildings and the centerpiece of this place is the Great Hall. So if you're up to it, we'll take a short walk across the property and take a look at the Great Hall, maybe go inside and just take a look at this spectacular building.
Let's take a look.
Let's do it. Thank you. Andrew, we're here on one of the most spectacular parts of the property. Behind us is the Great Hall. This is not the kind of building you expect to see in the mountains of North Carolina. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
It's certainly a bit of a surprise. It's a really interesting mix of kind of Indian-inspired architecture in a really beautiful North Carolina setting.
Yes.
So it's built according to what's called Vastu Shastra, which is almost an Indian comparison of feng shui. So basically principles of harmonious interior design so that when you're in the setting, you feel tranquil, you feel peaceful. So the whole idea is harmonizing the interior space and the architecture with the natural elements around.
Great, and we'll walk up in a little while and take a look inside. What about the exterior of the building? Its orientation in nature to the cardinal points? I think there's some significance in that as well. Is that correct?
So one of the main things you'll see both here and around campus is the buildings face east. They have their opening out towards the rising sun. So again, it's just that idea of being open to nature, being aligned with nature. So kind of aligning our starts, our enterprises with the dawning of the day.
Right. And these principles date back to the ancient Vedic traditions. Is that correct?
Yeah.
These are thousands of years old.
These principles are thousands of years old. They're redesigned in America is just the last century or so, but it's really an ancient tradition that has, supported communities for literally thousands of years.
Right. So as I stand here and I'm looking up at the Great Hall, of course, your orientation is to go up and to look up. Is that a purposeful design element here?
Yeah, generally when they built the original construction, the idea was to have almost the centerpiece up at the very top of the hill.
Right.
Also, you get the best view from here, so
right.
It's not a bad option.
So these couple of things too catch my attention. The beautiful white swan sculptures. What's the significance of the swan in this tradition?
So one of the symbols of the swan is oneness of learning, of always being in a learning mind, a beginner's mind. The second thing is, they say swans, if you feed a swan milk mixed with water, it can just take out the milk. So developing that discernment to take the best, the positive out of life without getting mired down by obstacles or disturbances or negativity in the mind.
It's a beautiful metaphor.
It is. Yeah.
So the idea, you mentioned the swan represents coming to the practice with a beginner's mind.
Yeah.
So even the most expert yogi would start each session with beginner's mind. Is that the idea? Is that the goal?
Yeah, keeping an open mind.
Right.
That both introspection, kind of that inquiry within, self-inquiry. What is my mind? What's going on in my mind?
Right.
What is life about?
Right.
And then also extroverted, being open to different perspectives, different opinions, having a tolerance and openness to learning from all sides.
Wonderful. So that last thing on the exterior I wanted to ask you about is that beautiful fountain. Does water play a role here in terms of creating the proper mindset or the proper atmosphere for meditation or yoga?
It's not necessary. We like to say that you can learn practices so that you can find stillness wherever you are. But certainly having the different elements, that water element, the space element, helps to bring that balance and harmony so that you feel that sense of ease and comfort.
Wonderful. Why don't we hike up the mountain and take a look inside? That'd
Sounds
be okay?
good. Yeah.
All right, great. So Andrew, we're inside the Great Hall here. It's a beautiful space. And the first thing that captures my attention is just the sheer size of this place. You were telling me earlier that you could fit 3,700 people in here, all meditating at once.
Actually, on our opening weekend, our inauguration back in 2012, we had just that number here. So it was a big event, and people from corner to corner meditating, celebrating, and just kind of coming together. We're all about community.
And you were one of that 3,700 that day.
I was sitting over there in that corner.
So it must have been a tremendous real energy here to have that many people intentionally doing something like that.
It's very beautiful. It's also very unique in the Southeast to have a place like this dedicated to that journey to inner peace, but also to connecting people in community.
Right.
So we're really happy that there is this place where people can come and find that stillness within.
Yeah. And the other thing that strikes me about this space is you were pointing out the use of natural materials. So there's a lot of wood, and there's tremendous height here in the middle, which allows a lot of natural light to come in. So that kind of integration of natural elements is also part of creating the proper environment. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's all about aligning with nature, also being in harmony with the elements around us.
Right.
So big focus on natural light, wood, natural elements were synthetic.
Yeah, and it creates a real sense of sacred space, I think. Stillness. You walk in and immediately I kind of felt my heart rate drop a little, you know. Sure. The blood pressure just kind of goes down. So it's really just being here creates a sense of stillness.
It's amazing. Many people come here and they comment along those same lines. That, oh, just coming up here, coming inside, I feel that there's some stillness, some quiet.
Right. Well, it's a wonderful space. I'd like to stay, but why don't we walk back down the hill and talk a little bit about the center?
Okay.
Great, thank you. Well, that was fun. That was a beautiful building, inside and out. I thank you for taking us over there. If we had time, we would tour some more of the buildings. The dining hall has a spectacular view of the mountains behind us. Andrew, I thank you for being here with us today. I think you shed some light on a tradition, certainly that's not well known in this part of the mountains. You shed some light on this beautiful place that many people have heard about but don't know about. So I think our viewers will enjoy getting to know the Art of Living Center a little better.
And as you
go ahead. Yeah.
As you mentioned, we're open to everyone.
Okay.
So if people do want to drop in, take a tour, or drop in for a meditation or yoga class, people are very welcome.
That's great. And you have a website, and that'd probably be the best way to get in touch with you.
artoflivingretreatcenter.org.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Well, that's it for Religion and Life this week. I hope you'll join us next week. Our guest will be Dr. Davis Hankins of Appalachian State University, and we're going to talk about his new book on religion. Thank you.